everybody, here at Whispering Stones and Solstice today, we're going to talk about crystal gridding.
Love crystal grids. I'm Melanie Blenis.
I'm Brigitt, Raitz, the owner of Whispering Stones. And one of the questions we get a lot in the store is, what is a crystal grid?
Help me with my grid.
Should I crystal grid?
What should be on my grid?
And why crystal grid?
Stop.
But it's so true.
It is.
So I've been thinking a lot about crystal gridding, and I think it's a really beautiful and wonderful way to bring together mindfulness, self-care, and higher intuition.
Absolutely. It helps you set your intentions.
It does. And then it gives you a beautiful representation of it that you can see often, visit often, and really use to bring your manifestation to life.
It's a great reminder.
It's a great reminder. So because I think it is a preeminent tool for manifestation, there's like 6 different factors to me that go into it. And the first one is clarity.
Clarity.
Because if you don't know what you want to manifest, setting up a crystal grid is pretty, but it's really not necessarily doing you the good that it could do.
No, then it's just a craft project.
It's a craft project. And although we love a good craft project, for this particular exercise, it's good to know. So I think a written affirmation works best.
Yes.
We're going to do a whole class on how to write a good affirmation, but let's imagine that we've written a really good affirmation. Today we're talking about love grids. So let's say we've written a really good affirmation about love. You can take that affirmation and you can put it under the board. You can present it on a little card next to the board. But the first thing to do is get really clear about what you want. So I think clarity is brought to life. The second thing is this requires creativity. And I love some creativity. It brings that fire element to life.
It gives you individual expression. It allows you to choose the stones that are important to you and assemble them in a way that you love.
That you're going to want to see, right? It's also it also brings in color. And for me, as an artist, color is so important. Color evokes feelings and wishes and all kinds of good energy to bear.
You can use your favorite color. You can use a favorite stone ray color. You can use stones from the same colorway. You can match your room.
You can do all of that, but whatever is calling to you, you can make that very visually pleasing. So color comes into play. And then collaboration, because there's so many elements with the grid. You may choose just to lay it on a table. For example, we have this one we're going to set in a minute that's on a table. You can actually put it on a real live grid board.
You could use a piece of fabric or a piece of art.
Or my favorite, you can put it on a cake stand.
I love the cake stands.
I love the cake stands because they bring them up and allow you to put other things around them. They just have an element of whimsy and kind of dominance in the room too.
A pretty tray would work.
Tray would work. You can pretty much do your grid anywhere, but so you're going to have a base for your grid. That's one of the things that collaborates with it. Of course, the other stones do. Not only just one stone, but how do they coordinate with the others?
That's right.
Then you can, as we said, you can bring in sacred geometry or not.
Tell me about sacred geometry.
Well, sacred geometry is really, the way I look at sacred geometry, it is a minuscule version of all of the parts of the universe, kind of down into the fractals that we know exist because we recognize the patterns. It is a visual representation of Mother Nature.
I love that.
So you're bringing all that earth energy to bear as well when you use sacred geometry.
So it serves as a grounding.
It does. It so helps ground your grid and your intention. But you also can set up a very successful grid without sacred geometry. A lot of the times we'll use the same patterning, but we won't have it on the basis of the grid.
That's right.
So besides collaborating with the stones, with sacred geometry, with the board that you set up and with your intention, you can also bring in other found objects that you just love. Flowers.
Old pieces of grandma's jewelry.
You could bring in feathers that you find, or stones that you find out in nature, shells. You can use all kinds of things that are important to you.
I love that.
And then there's other divination cards that you can bring to bear. You can bring some tarot or some oracle cards. You could bring some runes in.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, you can bring other things into it. So it's a big collaboration. And then finally, you're charging the grid. A lot of people use a pointer of some sort. I have one right here that I absolutely adore. This is my personal one. It is rutile with silver. It's rutiled with silver rutiles.
We do need to talk about charging the grid, don't we?
We do, because
how do we do that?
well, at the end of the grid, and that's probably like a whole nother class.
Yeah.
But at the end, after you've set it up, you actually start charging it with your intention. You call in all of your guides, angels, and spirit, and you basically take this and connect all the stones to each other into the grid.
And really ground in that intention that you
Grounded,
set.
and a lot of times if you repeat your intention, or you describe all the properties that you want to come from the grid, it can be almost a whole little ceremony unto itself. So then you charge the grid. So those are the C's that I think of, the 5 C's when I think of crystal grid.
They help.
Yeah, thank you. So in this, what we've set up here is we've set up what I consider to be my personal love grid, and I talked about this in another video. I anchored it with citrine because I wanted to call in all forms of love from the universe, including like play and joy and, you know, love of friends, love of special, love of family, love of everything.
Well, there you're showing the C's. You're showing the clarity, the collaboration between the stones. It's very creative and beautiful.
Colorful.
Very colorful.
Very colorful.
I just love it. Yeah.
And then down below, you're going to see some more stones. Some of them are kind of in shapes. Like this one is one of my favorites. It's a crystal, almost looks like a crystal bird. You're just bringing in other things. I have been known to set like a vase of flowers around it.
Lovely.
You know, or if I pull a certain tarot card that supports this,
you'll leave it
this
out.
feeling,
You'll
I'll leave it out
for a
next
little
to
while.
it. So this is my personal love grid. We just want to show this because it was all set up. We're going to set this one up, but we also have created a travel size grid.
Or a gift size.
Gift size grid. And what I really loved about this 6-inch Flower of Life board, so there you've got your sacred geometry. It's a love grid. I'm pulling in love with all the rose quartz tumbles, but it has a clear quartz icosahedron in the center. And
They are spectacular.
they are, once again, sacred geometry,
Yes.
right?
They're
And they're
very,
pulling
very
in
good.
the element of water, which is all about emotion and joy and play. So we have a little smaller representation that's up on our Etsy site that allows you to either get one for yourself, gift it for another.
Definitely check those out.
They're beautiful. So why don't we put one together?
Let's do. I love what you've pulled out so far.
Thank you. So it's the Flower of Life board. The Flower of Life is probably so recognizable to people that even don't recognize its sacred geometry. It's all about bringing calm, serenity, and balance to a situation, so I love that. We're starting with a rose quartz flame. I love a flame because it's igniting the whole idea of my manifestation, and you're setting these gorgeous rose quartz stars. Now, I love the star shape because it reminds me that I'm divinely guided. I'm not in this alone. I have the help of the universe. So it kind of is almost like a pictorial of that.
You're also using the star shape because they're just fun.
They're fun and they're beautiful. I think it makes a gorgeous crystal grid. Now we're going to ground some of that with these shungite double points. I love shungite because it helps us repel negativity. It's very grounding and protective. And it's very good for the cells in your body. So I'm adding some of that to help ground the grid. And then I thought it'd be really fun to add some of these clear quartz tumbles, because clear quartz
amps the properties of the other stones.
Exactly, and it illuminates. It brings in that
in the
gorgeous
light.
And I absolutely love that. And then finally, because so much of who we are is what we do, it brings in rhodonite. Now, rhodonite from Peru is fabulous because it helps you share your gifts and talents with the world.
What a lovely grid. And all the things that these stones mean in this grid.
I just thought they were beautiful together. They just they feel when you get done that they are collaborative with one another.
Very much so.
Which I just absolutely love.
We put together grids like this all the time in the store, depending on what our particular client would like or needs. This is just one example. I do believe we're selling this one.
We are. It's for sale right now on Etsy if you want the whole kit and caboodle already ready to go. But we do work with clients on everything from a grid about health or
healing,
higher wisdom,
inspiration.
Creativity, all of those things. And every month we're going to have someone come on and talk to us about a grid, and they'll set up one for something else. So definitely check back with us. What in a normal situation we would take our time to charge this grid, but let me address another question we get is how long should you leave a crystal grid up, and what should you be doing with it while it's up?
And where should it be in your home?
Where should it be in your home? Well, I think where it should be in your home should be somewhere you see it frequently. Putting it off in a corner where you don't look at it, or on top of a dresser where you really don't notice it, doesn't give it the ability, as good of an ability to shine and to manifest.
I like to view them as a living, ever-changing reminder
Yes.
So maybe you go by with a vase of flowers and you set it by there. Maybe you decide you want to change the stars out for some other shape or some other color.
Or another stone.
Or another stone. Maybe you want to put an additional affirmation there.
Right.
Maybe you want to take a moment and have a sage ceremony with it. Maybe you want to light a candle.
I love the idea of lighting a candle. Maybe just once a week, smudging the grid, lighting a candle, maybe chiming it, revisiting your affirmation, just you revisiting your affirmation, I think is really great. I like to see these, like, however long you want it. I really kind of like to set them on the new moon and maybe change them up on the full moon, because that gives it a good solid, like, 2 weeks to really kind of look at it. But if you need to do it for the next 2 weeks, just go ahead and smudge it and start over with it.
I like to put mine, I'm a little different, I like to put mine on the center of my kitchen island.
I like that.
Because it's a center point in my home, and I see it in and out and all the time, and it definitely stays alive that way because I'm always changing it, constantly changing it, moving and changing it. And it's reminding me to stay grounded, and to remember whatever affirmation I've put at the time.
So you stay focused on your goal.
So I stay focused on it.
I love that. That's a great, well, the kitchen being the hub of the house, you'd see it
I know
all the
you
time.
have this one in your room.
I have this one in my room, and thankfully, just where it was and the way the sun was shining on it, I got to see it quite a bit, and I really like it. But I've kind of enjoyed it right here in the center of our store, too.
It's so pretty.
Because it's just beaming out the light.
Yes.
So you'll know where your crystal grid should go. You'll know whether it should travel. You know whether you want to change it up.
Yes.
But I think that's pretty good basics to start with.
Yeah. We love gridding here in the store.
If you have any questions on gridding, feel free to just reach out and message us. We'll be back in November with a whole nother crystal grid. I think we're going to do one on health and healing.
I like that.
I like that too. I think that'd be really good going into the holidays. So until then,
enjoy your gridding.
Spring stones.